they all liked the recognition that somebody actually cared about their work and sat there and talked to them. And I really tried to tell the story in their voice. Because I saw so many art books where artists went on and on, almost it was incomprehensible copy about the artwork. And said, no, just let's talk to the guy and why did he do it, and how did he get into this, and what happened, and what's it done for your life.
Yeah. I'm sure that the men are just as interesting as the art that they produce.
And one of the real gifts of this is that this one had full AI assistance with it, in that I use for transcription, for layout, for just editing, for any number of things. And the story I love to tell is, in these days, it was painful hand transcription, getting it all right, digging.
Yeah.
There was an artist who did some really fine work around Green Bay, created the big mammoth at the Neville Public Museum.
Okay.
He's out in Salt Lake City. I tracked him down, took a little bit, got him on the phone, and I went from 1 hour of interviewing him on my phone and recording it to having it finished and laid out in the book.
Wow.
Now, I had my notes and I had the photos already ready, but it was like...
Kind of filled it in.
Yeah, record it on the phone, drop it in the computer, into transcription software, into chat software, into my layout software.
I've used AI to do like biographies. Like, I'll write a whole novel and then I'll be like, oh, I really don't want to, I can't write small anymore. So we'll have it do the biography, and it does a great place for you to start. I mean, it's not finished, but, it's
what I've learned, particularly here, is that I have to tell it verified sources only, stay to my material, and keep it in my voice. Now, we've agreed what my voice is.
Okay.
And I write for the Oshkosh Herald, and I write for On Mission for the Catholic Diocese. So when we do On Mission, my voice there is very Catholic and spiritual.
Very good.
And the same story for the Herald is much more civic involved and historic and community. Yeah. So, and for these, it would have its own tone also. So that was very helpful, because occasionally it invented quotes for me that were really good quotes. But that is not how that guy would have spoken. So I went back and said, where did you get that? Well, basically, based on everything you've told me about, this is what he would have said had you asked him. No, stop that.
It's scary.
So IA was a nice starting point for you then to go back and...
Yeah.
You have to watch
and it also took care of a whole lot of the burden of spelling, grammar, and inconsistency and all those kinds of things. I'm a creative guy. I believe in the creative use of commas, semicolons, and stuff like that.
True.
Other people want to be more consistent. Old English teachers.
So you wanted to get the story out. You were more interested in taking pictures of the art, correct?
Yeah.
Could you give anybody, talk us through maybe like how did you make the book, as far as choosing
like physically
the paper, glossy, the layout and things like that?
Well, one of the wonderful things I should say is that through networking, I found this printer in Indiana that turns out to be huge, but you wouldn't know it dealing with them. Now, I've had these printed locally, and they're pricey. This one came in at half the cost.
Wow.
With a glossy picture, and it has Stephanie attached to it. And Stephanie helps people like me look good.
Oh, okay.
And they don't care how many you order or whatever. I think they go 24/7, and they just crank these things out.
Wow.
And they're a little town of 5,000 in northeastern Indiana that you've never heard of. And looking at them on Google, they're like the biggest thing in town. And so that's been very helpful in doing that. Well, I teach photography, so I'm very particular about my pictures. Yeah. And when possible, I would have done maybe 2 to 3 visits to a site. Now, the ones that are further away, it's a one and done.
Yeah.
But if it's closer, I'll go back, particularly if the light is different, things are different. There's one artist I told them that, and actually, I've gotten to know well enough. I want to change the background. You got weeds back there. Get those out of it. And next time I came back, he had a whole flower garden. Thank you.
That's hilarious.
He needed the photographer's eye, maybe.
Well, you need a little encouragement,
yeah.
And so, where could people find your books?
The books at Oshkosh Public Library has copies of my books, has all my materials. I like to say they have my papers when I feel like I'm playing author.
Your library when you die.
Because we also have the digital copies of
the Barnes.
Barnes.
Yeah, they have that, and they have my pilgrim, my shrine book, and my church book as well.
On digital?
No,
but
hard copy.
Physical
Hard copy.
copy.
Yeah,
which is the
and
best
you
way
can
to
purchase the
view
book
it.
at Carmel Crisp here in Oshkosh.
Oh, Carmel Chris. They're very supportive of
Yes.
writers and authors. What's next for you?
Well, interestingly, I've been speaking or promoting my books to libraries, and often they will have me come and talk about my books.
Oh, nice.
But lately they don't want me to talk about my books, but my other thing, prior to this I wrote 5 family history books.
Oh,
So there's no
genealogy is big.
Well, mine, I like to call it trauma-informed history. So we go for all of the good stuff, because that's where the value is to the family. How did we get this way? What's our heritage? And
Well, that sounds dark.
no. It's liberating. One of my cousins discovered, when he discovered our great-grandfather was a high-functioning alcoholic, very successful man, and he discovered he wasn't the only one in the family who had the problem. What a liberation.
Yeah.
In other cases, there's I tracked 3 generations of depression and mental illness that was liberating also. Again, it's part of, we're not here in a silo by ourselves. So that's what the younger generation's interested in.
So, do you teach them how to research?
Yes. Well, the program is how to capture your family history and write it so actually your kids will read it. And so I'm doing a big workshop up at Camera Corner in Green Bay in January on that. I've done that at a number of libraries, and that's the one libraries want. When I did it here at the Oshkosh Public Library, we had a full house of intense women in their 70s with notebooks, computer, notebooks, ready to take notes.
Yeah.
And when I gave them a homework assignment, they all wrote it down, which was even more delightful. And what I actually end up urging people to do, because so much of the effort is trying to track down long-lost relatives,
Sure.
is, as my daughter told me, you were 42 when I was born. You had 42 years I don't know about.
True.
And then she always complains about having older parents, but there's little I can do about that. But I think that was a really valid point. So what I've been urging at the end of all of this is to urge people to go home and do their own timeline. And if you do nothing more for your kids, they have one page of a timeline is when you did what and where, and another page of your photos. Because the other question that particularly my 2 daughters want, who do I look like in the family? Yeah, do I resemble anybody?
Yeah.
So when they see my mother's pictures, they pick out, oh yeah, I've got her features, you don't. And that's what they are interested in rather than long-lost cousins and other things.
Yeah.
And that's probably a good tip too, because I was thinking about how old pictures, what do people do with them? And if you don't have the story to go along with it, they're more than likely you're going to get tossed a little bit.
You don't even know who the people are.
Yeah. For me, a picture and a story, and if I have an experience in capturing it, that's a perfect package. So I started at the libraries. I figured I needed a handout, so I started. My goal was a 5-page handout. I'm now at 18 pages, which I give them to duplicate and pass out. And I realized that I probably could take it to 30 with more examples because a lot of it is just convincing people to do this and giving them questions to ask, some approaches, as well as the AI tools. And then I will bundle that together in a little booklet that I can offer.
Oh,
but I think
that's exciting.
people should absolutely tell their story. During COVID, we ended up Zooming with my parents and stuff, and I just Googled questions that you should ask your parents and things like that. Have them tell the story of how they met and things like that. And that's also interesting that you're saying to include the story to make it interesting, because I struggle with that as well. What do people want to know? And I've written poems based on the Zoom discussions that we've had, making it into a further piece of art. It's like, oh, do I want to, how mad are my aunts and uncles going to be included in my poem that I talk about my grandpa milking cows with, bottles of liquor in the low rafters,
Yeah, that is an issue you have to deal with.
Yeah.
I know in my family, my dad was in World War II, and now he's gone, but he would not talk about it. So we know where he was stationed, and that's about it, but he would never, he said it was too horrible. He didn't want to go back there, even in his mind.
Understood.
Yeah, but it's hard because I'm like, so what happened?
Yeah. And understanding that is sort of a universal quest. So that's kind of where the world is leading me at this point, to that, as well as, I will update. This one I think I've exhausted. I keep finding more churches.
Uh-oh.
So I got 5 more. So when I sell all of these, I'll do another version with the additional churches added to it. And then I think I'm done with that.
Would you like to tell people how they could contact you if they wanted to have you come talk about the folk art or
sure.
about your ancestry?
Actually, the easiest way to find me is on Facebook. Michael J. Cooney on Facebook. I respond to messages. I'm not hidden. I'm easy to get a hold of it. I don't do a website because I never maintained it, and I'm still used to that. Facebook is my medium.
And what's next for you? What are you looking at for your next project?
Well, I'm hoping to actually transition from writing to presenting and promoting the work.
Okay.
And we'll be doing that, the family history book. And I find also, if I get in front of people and show them this, the library, my business model, you should know, is to lose money slowly and have fun doing it.
As every writer's is.
So I got my expectations right in line with reality.
Yeah. Kind of adapt that to the old joke about farmers. A farmer wins the lottery and asks, "What are you going to do?" He goes, "Well, I just keep farming until the money runs out." So you just keep writing, making books until the money runs out.
So is there anything we haven't covered that you want to talk about? Like the genealogy or?
Well, I'm really struck often. I talk about George O'Malley. George O'Malley started doing this when he was 14 out in New York State. He's a total character, and he's up way on the country outside of Chippewa Falls. You have to really want to find George. So I was at his place, and he's got a half mile of art. Well, George, often it could very well be an old corn planter with some stuff welded on it. And he just didn't stop. And he's been doing, I think he's well into his 80s at this point. And I found him, I got there at 8 o'clock in the morning because I overnighted in that area. And he's out riding his bicycle on the street, obviously looking for company.
Oh, dear.
So he talked at me for an hour and a half. And his artwork is full of riddles. And if I hadn't grown up in the farm, I wouldn't have a clue about some of the answers to all of them. And radio disc jockeys he's liked, I'm not sure in what century, any number of things. But then we came to 2 things that really touched me and him. One is he had a Make-A-Wish boy spend a day with him.
Oh, that's neat.
And the Make-A-Wish boy called him Mr. Old Trucks. So he's got a sculpture to Mr. Old Trucks. And actually, this is one of the only ones he actually cuts the grass around. Oh. And we stopped and talked about Mr. Old Trucks and how the boy passed not so long after visiting him. The other place we stopped, he has a welded with words kind of thing. I used to be somebody. And we stopped and we looked at that, and he shakes his head. I used to be somebody. And that's kind of the lament of a lot of retired men, that I used to be somebody. And
your worth is like tied to your job almost.
Yeah, in your identity. So what's exciting about these people is they're still somebody. They're still doing, they're still creating, and they're expressing what's been with them for much of their life. Yeah.
That's very cool.
Yeah. So you said like 20,000 people would go and see Jurassic Park.
Yeah, 25. I don't know who's counting, but
right.
20, 25,000, yeah.
And so how would you say popular some of them are? Are they all? I mean,
that's unusual. There are some that have been preserved by the Kohler Foundation, like Concrete Park up in Phillips, and there's several others that are. And often what Kohler will do is they'll come in, restore it, stabilize it, and give it to the local township, or they don't want to be an operator. They just want it preserved. And so those are around, and those are open 24 hours a day. I mean, it's kind of amazing. I'm the only one at some of these locations. Me and my dog, I was at these locations, and just like, this is kind of neat. And so I spent time getting the feel of what is this all about here.
I think it's also kind of a way to preserve some discarded things, discarded farm equipment that people don't use anymore.
Yeah.
Well,
it may be temporary use of it. I don't know how much it's going to survive, in the next century, but yeah.
Well, thank you for talking to us today. We're here at Authors Showcase with Michael J. Cooney, author of Wisconsin Man Art, which you can get at the Carmel Crisp. Thank you very much for...
Thank you for the opportunity.
Yeah, thanks for joining us. And thank the audience for joining us as well. Thank you for tuning in to Author Showcase of Oshkosh with your hosts, Dixie Joe Jarko, Bill Gillard, and Thomas Cannon. We'd love to hear from you, whether you're interested in being a guest on the show, have a question, or want to share your thoughts. Please reach out to us on social media or via email at OshkoshAuthorShowcase@gmail.com.